Let's talk about how to deliver effective recognition. General recognition statements such as good job or nice work often have little or no impact on your team member. In fact, they often backfire and create resentment as the team member perceives the leader as not truly understanding what was accomplished. So here are some tips for making your recognition efforts more effective. And these tips are primarily geared toward above and beyond recognition. The first tip is to invite others. Schedule some time to make a timely presentation and invite the team member's peers and maybe some other co-workers who are closest to the team member to join in the celebration. The second tip is to be specific. Be specific about what the team member accomplished and even tell a story. Thirdly, link values and goals to the recognition effort. This is an opportunity to link the specific actions a person took to your company values and goals to help make values and goals real for everyone in attendance, including the team member who's getting recognized. Next, make it personal. Remember, this is not about the administrative software your company might be using to track recognition or the recognition point system that might be placed. This is about the relationship between the leader and the team member. Be timely and don't delay with your recognition. Immediate recognition is very powerful because it helps an employee link their behavior with what you want and expect from them. Finally, decide whether it's important to publicly recognize your team member or to do it in a more intimate, one-on-one setting. This is all about understanding your people at an individual level. Remember, a one-size-fits-all approach to leadership isn't that effective. So part of your role as a leader is to understand how each of your people prefer to be recognized. Now that we've talked about some general tips for delivering recognition, let's review the 5 steps for preparing for and conducting a recognition presentation. The first step in delivering the recognition presentation is to describe the situation. Tell people what was happening at the time. Tell them the problem or the opportunity that the team member resolved. This is very similar to the feedback conversation, right? It's all about being specific and describing the behaviors. The second step is to describe the action. What were the actions and behaviors that the team member exemplified that deserve this recognition? Again, we want to be very clear about the behaviors that we recognize and the behaviors that we saw in this person so that others will strive to exemplify those same behaviors. The third step in the process is to describe the impact. Again, just like the feedback conversation, this is a very powerful step in the process. Describe the impact of your team members' behaviors to the team, to the department, to your organization, or even to your customers. The fourth step in the recognition presentation is to link the recognition effort to your company values or to your company goals. The fifth step in the presentation is to involve other people. This is a very powerful and meaningful step. So think about who should be present for the recognition presentation. Who does this person work closest with that would make it meaningful? And how can you involve them in speaking about the qualities and the specific achievement by this person? And finally, the last step in the presentation, say thank you. Remember that for recognition to have an impact, it has to be delivered effectively. And this simple framework will give you a method and a process to make your recognition efforts count. Okay, you've got some tips for providing effective recognition, and you've got a framework for making the presentation. Let's look at a few real-life examples and see if we can make this good recognition into great recognition. The first example is an aha moment example. In this example, the manager said, "Thank you so very much for your help with Frank's desk this week. You are an amazing team member and a go-getter. You are appreciated." How would you change this good recognition so that it becomes great recognition? Pause this video for a moment and reflect on that question. A few ideas that I would offer would be to be more specific about what it means to be an amazing team member and a go-getter. That feedback is a little bit vague. So remember to be specific, remember to describe the behaviors, and remember to make it personal. The second good to great example is an above and beyond example. Here's what the manager said. "Thank you for your hard work on the general contractor project. Because of your efforts, we were able to return $15.5 million to 52,448 customers. We could not have done it without your dedication and time. How would you make this recognition great? Pause this video and take a minute to reflect on that question. In this particular example, I think the manager did a good job of describing the impact, and he also did a good job of describing some specifics, the $15.5 million and the 52,448 customers. One area for improvement with such a significant contribution would be to link in values and goals. I want to leave you with a final example. This is an email that went out from a director to his team member. I left Thursday's celebration inspired and moved by your team's example and accomplishment. As I absorbed the moment, I was struck by two things I wanted to share with you, if you don't mind. First, great leaders set audacious goals for the team, not because they want them to fail, but because they believe in their potential for greatness that much. I saw leadership at its finest in that moment of celebration Thursday. You believe in your team, you see their greatness, you see their potential, and you call it out of them. I hope they realize how rare it is to work for such an incredible leader. Second, I was moved by your team's commitment and bond. Their determination and connectedness are truly an example for our entire organization. The power of one goal, one team, one incredible accomplishment. I can't wait to see and hear of the incredible accomplishments ahead for your team. Thank you. This is a very inspirational recognition example. Not only did the leader bring in some specifics into the example, but he did a good job of linking to their goal of the power of one, to their value of having one team, one goal, one incredible accomplishment. As I think about my experience with recognition, I often reflect back on my days in the Army, and there are two moments that are most memorable for me. The first was an award ceremony where several soldiers, including myself, were recognized at the end of an almost year-long deployment in Turkey. The second was my graduation from Ranger School. These moments from almost 20 years ago are cemented in my mind. I remember being in a room and hearing the comments from our commanders. I remember the presentation of the service medal itself and the pinning of the Ranger tab on our uniforms. And I remember being surrounded by people who shared those same experiences with me. There are many things we can learn from the military about how to make recognition meaningful. Here are three of them. Number one, make it personal. For day-to-day recognition, speak to people in person. Write a handwritten note. For above and beyond recognition, invite others to the presentation who mean the most to the person being recognized. And ensure that the frontline management or supervisor is present in the award. Second, be prepared. When recognizing people, take the time to think about what you will say. Talk about the specific situation, the behaviors exemplified by the person, and the impact it had to the team, the organization, the customers, and others. And perhaps, most importantly, link the recognition effort to specific values and goals of the organization. Third, involve other people. If you're making an above and beyond recognition presentation, ask team members or others impacted by the person to share their stories and gratitude for a job well done. This will go a long way toward making the presentation personalized and building commitment among your team members. The bottom line is that delivery is more important than the reward itself. Make your recognition efforts count, and you'll help ignite the potential of your people.